My aunt looked me dead in the eye at that graveside and said, "Someone took the money." And I was standing right there, holding a white lily, nodding like I had no idea. You have to understand something about my grandmother first. Not to excuse anything, I don't think anything I say excuses it, but you have to know who she was before you can know what I did. Her name was Cecile. She was 79 years old and she smelled like lavender and Bengay, and she kept hard candy in a ceramic dish on her coffee table that had been there since I was 6. She called me her Tuesday girl because I was born on a Tuesday and she never let me forget it. Every birthday card, every phone call, every time I walked through her door, "There's my Tuesday girl." She didn't have much. She never had much. But what she did have, she planned for carefully. She had a savings account she'd been adding to since 1987. 30-something years of birthday money from her own children, a little from her pension, a little from doing alterations for neighbors out of her living room. By the time she passed, there was just over $8,000 in that account, and she left it to me, specifically to me. With one instruction, one request she had said out loud more times than I can count. "That money is for when I go. I don't want to be a burden. I want a proper burial. Nothing fancy, just proper." She made me promise, twice. The last time was 6 months before she died, when we both knew she was declining and neither of us wanted to say it out loud. She took my hand and she said, "Renata, you understand what that money is for." And I said yes. I said I understood. I was 34 years old when she died, and I was underwater in a way that nobody around me fully knew. I had a car payment I couldn't make, a credit card balance I'd been moving from account to account for 2 years, a dental bill I'd been ignoring because ignoring it felt easier than facing it, and an eviction notice I'd hidden in the bottom of my bag for 11 days. I hadn't told my mother. I hadn't told my sister. I hadn't told anyone because I was the one who was supposed to have it together. I had the good job. I had the apartment. I was the Tuesday girl who made something of herself. And when Grandma Cecile passed on a Wednesday morning in November, the bank transferred that $8,000 into my account by Friday afternoon. I told myself I would just hold it, just for a few days, just until I figured out how to breathe again. But that's not what happened, and somewhere inside me, I think I knew it wasn't going to be. The first thing I did was pay the credit card. Not all of it, just enough to stop the interest from eating me alive. $2,200. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I'd put it back somehow before anyone needed to actually plan anything. Grandma had only been gone 4 days. Nobody was talking numbers yet. There was time. Then the car. $1,400 to catch up the payments and keep it from being repossessed, because without the car I couldn't get to the job, and without the job I had nothing. That felt almost logical. That felt almost justified if I said it the right way in my head. The eviction notice cost me $3,000 to settle. I remember sitting in the leasing office signing paperwork with a woman named Dana who had no idea what I'd just done to pay for the pen in my hand. $7,600, gone in 9 days. What was left wouldn't cover a funeral, not even close. A basic cremation was going to run over $3,000. A burial, the kind my grandmother had asked for, the kind with a headstone and a service and a proper send-off, that was closer to 10. And so I did the only thing I could think to do. I called my mother and I cried, real tears, which was not hard because they were real. I was genuinely falling apart. And I told her I'd been looking at the account and I was worried the funds weren't going to stretch as far as we'd hoped. I let her fill in the blanks. I let her believe the money had just evaporated in the way that funeral costs do when you don't know what you're doing. My aunt started a collection. Family members contributed. My mother paid for the headstone herself with money she didn't have to spare. The funeral home worked with us on a payment plan. And Grandma Cecile got her proper burial. She did, I want to be clear about that because I need that to be true. She got the service she asked for, the lilies she would have wanted, a headstone with her full name on it, people who loved her standing around a grave saying goodbye. But she got it with money that wasn't mine to spend and grief that wasn't mine to redirect. At the reception afterward, my aunt said it quietly but loud enough for a few people to hear. Someone took that money. Banks don't just lose $8,000. Someone took it. And she was looking around the room when she said it. Not at me specifically, just around. I poured myself a cup of coffee and I said, "That's awful. I can't imagine." I have replayed that sentence in my head almost every day since. The sound of my own voice saying it, how steady I sounded, how easily it came out. My mother still doesn't know. My aunt never found proof. The money never got repaid. I kept meaning to, kept building a plan to quietly put it back somehow, donate to something in Grandma's name, something, anything that would let me feel less like what I am. But there's no version of repayment that undoes what I did. There's no gesture that makes it clean. Grandma Cecile worked her whole life to make sure she wouldn't be a burden to anyone. She saved for 30 years so that her death wouldn't cost the people she loved a single dollar of worry. And I took that from her. Not just the money, the intention, the dignity of a woman who planned ahead so nobody would have to scramble. I'm the reason they scrambled. I tell myself I was drowning. I tell myself I would have lost everything. I tell myself she would have wanted me safe, and maybe part of that is even true. She did love me. She called me her Tuesday girl. But she also made me promise. Twice. And I looked her in the eyes and I said I understood. I did understand. That's the part I can't get around. I don't know what I would have done differently. I've tried to find the version of that week where I made a different choice, and I still can't locate her. The Renata who put the money in a locked account and called a financial counselor and figured something else out. I don't know where she was. What I know is the one who was there. The one who paid her electric bill and kept her apartment and watched her grandmother get buried with money that was never meant to save her life. Maybe you would have done it differently. Maybe the version of you sitting in that kitchen with an eviction notice and a dead woman's savings would have found another way. I need you to tell me. I genuinely need to know. What would you have done?